Room 307. Chapter 3, 2:17 a.m., 2:17 a.m. Ethan woke with the unmistakable feeling that someone had spoken his name. His eyes opened to complete darkness. For several confused seconds, he lay perfectly still beneath the duvet, listening to the steady rhythm of rain striking the balcony doors. The room remained exactly as he had left it. The curtains were still half open, allowing the faintest trace of moonlight to seep through the clouds outside, and the old brass clock on the bedside table glowed softly beside the telephone. Nothing moved. Nothing made a sound. He closed his eyes again. Then every phone in Alder House Hotel vibrated at once. The noise swept through the building in a single wave. Not loudly, not violently, just hundreds of identical buzzing tones beginning and ending in perfect unison. Ethan reached instinctively for his own phone before it had finished vibrating. The screen was already awake. Against a solid black background appeared a bright amber warning banner, unlike anything he had ever seen. Emergency alert. Remain inside your assigned room. Do not open your room door. Further instructions will follow. There was no government crest, no emergency service logo, no indication of who had sent it. Only the warning itself. Ethan frowned. He had received emergency alerts before, one during severe flooding, another during a nationwide mobile network test, but they had all carried official branding and links to further information. This one looked incomplete. He checked the signal indicator. Still nothing. No mobile reception, no Wi-Fi. Yet somehow the alert had reached his phone. For several moments he simply stared at the screen. Perhaps it was a delayed test. Perhaps the hotel had some internal emergency notification system. Fire, maybe. Although if there were a fire, telling guests to remain in their rooms seemed an unusual strategy. The room fell silent once more. Then another vibration. The second message appeared beneath the first, as though someone were typing it in real time. Update. Room 307 has been opened. Ethan read it twice, then a third time. Room 307. The number meant nothing to him. He sat upright against the headboard and rubbed the sleep from his eyes. The receptionist's strange warning returned to him with uncomfortable clarity. If the telephone in your room rings during the night, I would advise you to answer it. He looked towards the bedside table. The cream-colored telephone sat exactly where it had been before he went to sleep. Silent. For now, a muffled sound echoed somewhere beyond his room. Not screaming, more like confused voices. Someone had opened their door. Then another. Footsteps. A man's voice asked something Ethan couldn't quite make out. A woman answered from farther down the corridor. The hotel was waking. He climbed out of bed and crossed to the door, careful not to make unnecessary noise. The emergency alert remained displayed across his phone. Do not open your room door. He hesitated. Curiosity and common sense rarely made good traveling companions. Eventually, curiosity won. He disengaged the latch and opened the door barely 3 inches. The corridor beyond was dimly lit by the same brass wall lamps that had burned throughout the evening. Several doors now stood partially open. Guests peered cautiously into the corridor without fully stepping outside, each apparently hoping someone else would explain what was happening. Liam emerged from room 216 wearing a t-shirt, jogging bottoms, and one hiking boot. He looked down at his feet. I knew something felt wrong. Ethan couldn't help smiling. You've only got one boot. So I have. Liam disappeared back inside before returning a few seconds later wearing the other. I'd like everyone to forget that happened. I already have. You are a gentleman. Across the corridor, the young engaged couple had opened their door. The woman held her phone tightly in both hands. What is room 307? She asked quietly. Nobody answered. Further along the corridor, another guest shook his head. There isn't one. How do you know? I walked past every room earlier. Maybe it's on another floor. Maybe. The uncertainty in his voice suggested he no longer believed his own answer. Room 307 sounded perfectly ordinary. And yet, Ethan suddenly realized he couldn't remember seeing any rooms beginning with the number 3, the 3rd floor. He had seen the button in the lift. Margaret had pressed it, but had he actually seen any rooms? The thought unsettled him more than he cared to admit. The lift chimed. Every head in the corridor turned simultaneously. Its doors slid open. Margaret stepped out first, still wearing the same green dressing gown she'd apparently thrown over her nightclothes. Sophie followed behind her. "You received it too?" Sophie asked. Everyone nodded. "I've tried calling reception." "No answer," Margaret replied quietly. "So have I." The engaged woman looked close to tears. "My fiancé says it's probably somebody's idea of a prank." Liam folded his arms. "That's some prank." "It could be." "On every phone?" Nobody replied. Sophie took a slow breath. "I'm going downstairs." "The message literally says not to leave your room," someone objected. "I know, and you're ignoring it." "I'm saying I'm not comfortable sitting here waiting for another message." Ethan admired how calm she sounded. Not fearless, simply practical. Like somebody approaching a difficult situation one logical step at a time. "I'll come with you," he said. "So will I," Liam added. Margaret looked from one face to another. 4 people are better than 1. Before anyone else could volunteer, a sharp metallic click echoed through the corridor. Every door handle moved, at exactly the same moment. Not turning, not opening, simply dropping. As though somebody outside had tested every locked door simultaneously. Nobody breathed. The sound had traveled along the corridor with impossible precision. Click, 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 click. Room after room. Every handle, every lock, every door. Then silence. The guests looked at one another in complete confusion. Liam swallowed. "Please tell me somebody else heard that." "I heard it," Sophie replied. "So did I," Ethan said. The engaged woman whispered something under her breath. Margaret slowly looked back towards the lift. "I don't think—" she began quietly. "We're alone anymore." Before anyone could respond, the telephone inside Ethan's room rang. Once, its shrill tone cut through the corridor with startling clarity. Everyone froze. The second ring came 5 seconds later. Nobody spoke. Ethan looked from the open doorway to the others gathered outside. Every face was watching him, waiting, remembering. If the telephone in your room rings during the night, I would advise you to answer it. The third ring echoed through room 214. Without taking his eyes off the others, Ethan stepped backwards across the threshold. He reached towards the receiver and answered. "Hello?" For several seconds, there was only silence. Then a man's voice, barely louder than a whisper, spoke 5 words. "They know you've opened it." The line went dead.